What's good, Combat Sports fans? You already know who it is. It's your boy Bando back at it with another episode of Combat and Kick It. Because we are approaching UFC 290, but it's not just UFC 290. It's not just another pay-per-view. It is finally International Fight Week. It is the return of Alexander Volkanovski going up against Yair Rodriguez. Then you got Brandon Moreno defending his flyweight strap against Alejandro Pantoja. It is a fantastic matchup, fantastic card. You already know I had to come with the breakdown because that's what I do. Also, Sean Strickland with a fantastic performance this past weekend, so I will talk about that briefly as well, and I'll get into that in a minute. But you already know, your boy back with another episode, so welcome back to Combat and Kick It. Happy 4th of July. Let's get right into this shit. So first and foremost, what an impressive performance by Sean Strickland. I thought that was a fantastic performance. My man did exactly what he needed to do, and he looked great. Let's talk about this real quick, because back-to-back weekends we are having beautiful main event performances by these guys. And Sean Strickland in this fight was going in as a favorite. He was still a favorite. I'm pretty sure he was like a minus 110 favorite going into the fight. But a lot of people believe that this Abu Smagomedov was going to be someone who could be the future of the middleweight division, but dude still got so much time. So he's got so much time to work. You know, only having I think it was one or three fights in the UFC before this or something like that. One fight. He beat Dustin Stoltzfus. Now I heard that nobody wants to fight the Magomedov guy, but you already know. Sean Strickland's not backing down from nobody. And Sean Strickland did exactly what he was supposed to do, and that was get the job done. Not just win a decision, he needed to get the job done. And the reason I say he needed to get the job done is because, one, you don't want a guy to come in and make his name off you. It's like the same kind of situation with the Imavov fight. You wanted to really put in work, and it was a one-sided beating over Imavov. But you want to, really stamp the fact that you are top of the division, top 5 of the division, top 10 of the division. You really want to stamp that fact and show that there is a big difference from these guys that are just coming in to the guys that are already there. So, great performance by Sean Strickland. He, had a slower first round, but once he got going in the second round, Magomedov gassed. Sean stayed behind and was pumping the jab. He does fantastic with that jab. A lot of 1-2s, not many hooks, straight down the pipe, right? And then once he saw he was hurt, he swarmed him. So good job, Sean. Fantastic win. There was a couple other good fights on that card too. I really didn't pay too much close attention, if I'm being honest to you. I saw Grant Dawson pretty much ragdolled Damir Ismagulov, which I don't think many people would have expected. The prospect Michael Morales, who I was hyping up big time, got the win, but it wasn't the most impressive. He definitely got tested, definitely found some holes in his game, but he's still a 15-0 prospect on the way up, so we'll see what happens. But he ended up getting the decision over Max Griffin. Ariane Lipsky fucked my entire parlay up and beat Melissa Gatto with a split decision. Then you had Bonfim, who fucked everybody else's parlays up by losing to Benoit Saint Denis. So yeah, there was a couple decent fights, but I didn't pay too close attention to it. But I am paying very close attention to this weekend's fights, because we are here at UFC International Fight Week. Well, I can't talk tonight, man. What the fuck is going on, guy? What the fuck is going on? I got a stiff neck. I slept funny. I got a stiff neck. No, that's not my excuse. But no, you already know I'm going to be locked to my TV the entire day for this. As soon as this starts, I will be there. As soon as I'm off work, right in front of the TV watching this. And I'm super excited for this card, not just because it's the return of Volkanovski, but because you're also having a huge flyweight matchup again that isn't Brandon Moreno versus Davison Figueiredo. It is Brandon Moreno going up against Alexandre Pantoja. And if you know the history, Pantoja's gotten him twice already. And once was in the Ultimate Fighter, once was in the UFC, I think, as I think it was the finale. I think it was. I'm almost positive it was the finale. But Pantoja got him twice. Now this was the early stage of Brandon Moreno. This was before Brandon Moreno got cut by the UFC and came back on an absolute tear. Brandon Moreno's skill set is expanded. He has become a phenomenal wrestler. His striking is on point. He's aggressive and he's very, very hard to put out of there. So it's gonna be a tough night for Pantoja. But at the same time, Pantoja's looked super sharp. Looks super sharp. So I'll get into the full breakdown of that shortly. But listen to this main card real quick. You got Bo Nickel going up against Tresean Gore. Beautiful contender matchup. Something that makes perfect sense. I think I mentioned it before. You got Bo Nickel coming off of the Contender Series. And then you got Tresean Gore coming up, the Ultimate Fighter. It just makes a lot of sense. Both coming off wins. You got a 4-0 prospect against a 5-2 prospect. I like it. I like it. Who's going to win? I probably am going to lean a little bit more towards Bo. I'm probably going to ride the hype train on that one and just follow along with pretty much everybody else. Nothing against Tresean Gore. I am betting on these, so I'm betting with Tresean Gore. I love betting with the underdogs. You already know how that goes. I think overall, though, when Bo gets to swarm in that wrestling, he gets very overwhelming. Now, could be difficult. Tresean Gore is extremely strong, and he showed in that last fight that he's got some nasty submissions. Like I said, he almost killed that guy in the last fight. It was a very, very dominating submission. Held him up like in midair with a guillotine, so pretty horrifying. And yeah, so it's interesting. It's not impossible for Tresean Gore to win this. Like I said, I like to throw the bets down on the underdog. But if I had to choose, if I was really telling people on like Wise Bet, I would probably lean more towards Bo Nickel. The wrestling is a very overwhelming wrestling. And his striking isn't terrible. It just depends on how long that fight stays standing. But Tresean Gore, like I said, has good submissions. So you never know. You never know. Moving on, you got Jalen Turner and Dan Hooker. I love it. Very, very similar in size, very, very similar in stature. Who is going to win this fight? I'm going with Jalen Turner. I'm totally going with Jalen Turner. I think Jalen Turner being the more active fighter, he's winning fights. Besides the Mateusz fight, which I personally thought he won by decision, he's been looking really good in the fights. Now, Dan had a last good outing, but we've seen Dan be in some wars, and I think if Jalen can time something, land correctly, he can get him out of there. But Dan trains with long, lanky strikers like Israel Adesanya, Carlos Olberg. You know, he trains with a lot of tall, lanky guys. So it's not uncommon. It's not going to be very, very difficult for him to find his range or anything like that. I think he's going to make for a fantastic fight. And they're going to be standing. So then you got Rob Whittaker, Dricus du Plessis. Why do I feel like I broke this down already? Did I already break this down or something? Or did I just talk about it and not fully break down what it was supposed to be broken down? I feel like I talked about this before already. I probably do. I probably already have an episode. But how can you not have another episode? It is Fight Week. It is International Fight Week. So you got Rob Whittaker going up against Dricus du Plessis. Now, you know what? I talked about these fights, but I don't think I broke anything down about these fights. I think that's what it is. See, what happens a lot, right, is I record a video, get to editing it, and everything's getting solid, getting ready to post it, some bullshit happens. Some bullshit happens. This last video, like, this is going to come out, and it's probably going to be episode 30, but it should be 31. Because I recorded 30, had it set up. Maybe 30 is what I'm thinking of, me talking about this stuff, because I never got to post it. But I was supposed to post a video, and the app I use wouldn't even let me extort it and save it or whatever the fuck, so I could post it to YouTube. So I couldn't get that video out. I had a little breakdown. I think I did have the UFC 290 breakdown in there, but this one sounds better so far. But anyways, back to what I was saying. Rob Whittaker, Dricus du Plessis. Who's going to win that fight? Who am I leaning with? I want Rob to win. Okay? I want Rob to win. Not the biggest Dricus du Plessis fan. He's not the real DDP. You got to stop saying DDP. Don't call him DDP. I don't want to hear DDP. That is Diamond Dallas Page. I will mark that is Diamond Dallas Page, not Dricus du Plessis. No, look, I'm not a big fan of him, but to say the least, he brings it, right? The man loses cardio in the first round and then ends up winning the fight in the next two. So it confuses the fuck out of me how he does it, but he gets it done. He got it done against Derek Brunson. He made Darren Till look stupid again, which Darren Till does that to himself. But you already know he whooped his ass. Rob Whittaker ain't going to let that happen, though. Rob the Weeper Whittaker. He's not going to let that happen. And we know this. My thing about this fight, though, stylistically, it's exciting. It's very exciting, and it brings something to this, too, because you got to think, Izzy's already beat Rob twice. He's never fought Dricus du Plessis. He's building up this Africa beef thingy that he's ride with for what Dricus du Plessis said in the interview. If you haven't seen it, go back to the interview, watch the whole thing, and then go ahead and watch Israel Adesanya's reaction. Or don't, if you don't care that much. Either way. Yeah, you know what I mean. But look, there can be a story built is what I'm trying to say. There could be a story built with that fight. There's not much to build off the Rob Whittaker fight. But if Rob came and beat Dricus du Plessis, who the fuck is to say that he doesn't get the next title shot? You can't. That man gets the next title shot unless you sneak it to Sean Strickland, which is possibly deserved as well. But it's Rob the Weeper Whittaker, and a lot of people want him to get that shot again because a lot of people still think that he could beat Israel Adesanya. Now, a lot of people are sitting there saying it's 2-0. Well, don't get anybody started on the whole Alex Izzy shit because we're talking 3-1 there, and you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of stuff. Rob is deserving because Rob does exactly what he needs to get himself back to that position. Hey, if nobody can get past the motherfucker, you can't deny him. It just is what it is. So if he wins this fight and wins it in extraordinary fashion, go ahead and throw Rob the title shot. And if you don't throw it to Rob or you can't get Rob and Izzy fast enough and you want to get Izzy and Sean in there, Izzy and Sean might sell a little bit for the fans to have something fun for him. But Rob is the Reaper of the division. He is the Reaper in general. He's going to bring the heat to Dricus du Plessis. And look, not a fan, but I'm not saying Dricus isn't going to bring it either. I think Dricus is going to bring it right back. This is the biggest fight of his career. In my opinion, this is a bigger fight than Israel Adesanya because if you can't get past Rob, then you can't even get to Israel Adesanya, so it don't even matter. For you to look at Israel Adesanya, to be in that division, sit there, and your goal is set on Israel Adesanya, you know that there is people you have to pass, and two of those people can possibly either be Jared Cannonier or Rob Whittaker, and Dricus chose Rob Whittaker. So it's a very tough path to go through, but he's going through it, so we'll see what happens, but I'm leaning with Robert Whittaker. Now, before I get into the big dog breakdown, I'm going to spark this. Ow. I just want to mention the prelims because I didn't even go through them. And there was a couple things that happened that I wanted to talk about. I'm not going to break down the prelims, just tell you that there's a few good fights. You know, you got Jimmy Crute going up against Alonzo Minefield. You have Robbie Lawler versus Nico Price. You also have what was supposed to be Jack Della Maddalena versus Sean Brady. Sean Brady pulled out with a staph infection. Jack Della Maddalena said, I'll fight anybody from 170 to 185. I don't care who. There's an open slot. Now, many UFC fighters came barking for that opportunity. Kevin Holland said, I'll fight that week and then I'll fight the next week that he's supposed to fight because he's supposed to fight here soon as well. So he said, I'll fight that week and I'll fight it on the next card too. UFC must have said no. Chris Curtis said, what's up? I'm around that weight. Let's do it. UFC just skipped over. Blindly. Didn't even look at it, right? Which would be a fair thing to Chris Curtis. Knowing what's happened in the last few fights, man, the guy keeps kind of getting screwed. Wouldn't be a bad thing to give him this fight. They skipped over that. Then Joaquin Buckley saw him at the Apex on Saturday. Looking for a possibility for a fight. UFC skips over that. Who does UFC bring in? Somebody making their debut. Now, no shots, no shade. Josiah Harrell, I think is his name. Either Josiah Harrell or Josiah Harrell is going up against Jack Della Maddalena. And that is just not even right to make your debut against JDM. One of the best up-and-comers in the game. Someone who people really do truly believe is the future of the division. It's kind of fucked up of the UFC to do, but it is something of the UFC to do. That's exactly what the fuck they would do. But many people came knocking. UFC just didn't answer the door. They passed it to a 7-0 guy making his debut. Hey, I love seeing the underdog story. So if he was to get it done, unbelievable. Unbelievable. Now, the big problem with that, though, is if this guy gets it done against one of the people you were building to be the future of the welterweight division, it's going to backfire real bad on you, right? Compared to if Jack Della Maddalena went in there against a guy that's already well established, got some good wins, some decent losses, fought the who's in a way, fought against known people, it wouldn't hurt so bad. This will hurt if it happens. We'll see what happens. Obviously, Jack Della Maddalena is absolute savage. There's really nothing else to say about that. The man's a savage. But that's what the UFC did. The UFC likes to do that a lot. It's giving a guy an opportunity, which I'm not against. But at the same time, that's a fucking tough-ass opportunity. But anyways, let's get into the big dog breakdown. Alright, you already know for the pay-per-views, I like to do the big dog breakdown, which is the co-main event and the main event breakdowns. We get full-fledged, little bit of videos here and there. Let's talk about it. Let's do it. Brandon Moreno going up against Pantoja. I already started this off earlier in the video, so you know how I'm going. Alexander Pantoja has gotten wins over Brandon Moreno in the past. Good wins too, but Brandon Moreno is never a guy that you can really get out of there easily. And Brandon put up good fights. Brandon is a completely different fighter, completely different striker, completely different wrestler. This is going to be a very different fight than I think Pantoja is expecting, right? Now, Pantoja's had some beautiful last few fights. He knocked out Matt Schnell recently. His win over Alex Perez was a beautiful win. He got the submission on Alex Perez. Let's see who else. That was... So 2022, 2021 was... He even beat Brandon Royval by submission. Beat Manal Cape by decision. Beat Askar Askarov. Like I said, wins over Matt Schnell. Wins over... Wilson Reyes. His only loss is really to Davis and Figueiredo recent years. And who else has he lost to? Dustin Ortiz. Wow, that's weird. That's just wild. MMA is fucking wild. What the fuck? But yeah, so he's got some losses, but nothing crazy, man. The dude is very skilled. Very, very skilled. He's got good jiu-jitsu, but his striking, he's up in your grill the whole time, pushing the pace the whole time. But Brandon Moreno's the type of guy that can accept that heat and bring the same thing back. Like I said, when Pantoja beat him originally, it was not it wasn't the best version of either of them. They both evolved so much, but Brandon Moreno's going to stand in the pocket and he's going to trade some power shots. and he's gonna land some different combinations that aren't just boxing. He's gonna throw them kicks in there, them body kicks, stuff like that, body shots. Brandon Moreno is somebody that you usually don't want to stand in a pocket with, but if someone who's going to be able to hang, with each other, man, they're going to be able to hang in a pocket. I think there's going to be one of the most exciting fights that you can get in the flyweight division. At first, I didn't think that, right? I'm like, man, Pantoja's just a jiu-jitsu guy. I don't think he's going to be that exciting in this fight. I think Brandon's going to walk right through him. I watched back both their fights, not fully, like just kind of peek through the highlights, and then watch back their most recent fights, and I'm like, oh, shit, man, we are in for a treat for this one. I think this could be fight of the night contender if the main event, you already know the main event's already a fight of the night contender. This one could take the cake too, but we'll wait and see. There's a lot of opportunities for people to steal the show on this card, but when you bring that Mexican style of Brandon Moreno, and then Pantoja's got a Mexican style too. He stands in the pocket and trades. Watch his last few fights, man. He comes at you, but he sets you up for failure with his striking, and he opens you up to find different things that he can work with the jiu-jitsu through the clinch or through takedowns. But I'm rocking with Brandon Moreno. I always do. Always have. Always do. Tough to go against. I'm rocking with the champ. I'm going with Brandon Moreno. How do I think he's going to do it? Now, that's fucking tough. That's tough to call. I think he has a better chance of, KOing Pantoja, but I think Pantoja has a better chance of getting him in something sneaky. Pressing him with the striking and being able to just clinch him and possibly, get in some sneaky jiu-jitsu shit. That's what a lot of these guys do. They're capable of doing it, so you never know. But I think Brandon Moreno, if anything, could get the finish, but I think he's going to take this by decision. I would probably go with decision because I think we're going to get a five-round war. So, I don't know. That's just me. Every time I fucking say that, though, it ends up being a first-round finish, completely opposite to what I said. So I'm probably going to be wrong, but I have a feeling that is going to be a fucking war. So we'll find out on Saturday. We will find out on Saturday. But moving on to the main event, the return of the pound-for-pound king, Alexander Volkanovski. I know some people got John Jones as the pound-for-pound, but you know how it's been rocking. A lot of people have been rocking with Volkanovski. Way more active, doing the thing. 25-2. Should be 25-1. Well, 26-1, I mean. Should be 25-2. Should be 26-1. Should have 2 belts. But he doesn't. He's going up against Yair Rodriguez, the interim featherweight champion. And this fight is wild to me, man. Because stylistically, if there is someone who could chuck some shit up, I've been saying, if there's someone that can chuck some shit up and possibly do it, it's fucking Yair Rodriguez. It's Yair Rodriguez. Why do I say that, you ask? Because I could feel it. I feel your energy. Your energy is, what the fuck is this motherfucker saying it? Why is he saying it? I'm going to tell you why I'm saying this. Because Yair Rodriguez's striking is beautiful. It is beautiful, it is crisp, it is clean, it is quick, and it is untelegraphed strikes. He has fantastic movement, and his kicks are like no other person's in that division. But the thing that Alexander Volkanovski has that is so much better than anybody else in that division is his movement. And his IQ. Those two things together will keep him at the top of the division, keep him top of the pound-for-pound list, because it freezes every opponent that he has. Now, if he can get in there and freeze Yair Rodriguez to where Yair cannot use his kicks well, he can't get planted, he has to reset constantly, then Volk's going to have a Volk night. 5 rounds of Volk doing what Volk does. I don't see Volk knocking him out. The Mexican blood, I really believe there is something different in their blood because these motherfuckers don't get knocked out. We've seen it. They put on some of the most exciting fights in history of combat sports. I don't see Yair going out. I can see Yair possibly chucking something up like a head kick that Alexander Volkanovski has been vulnerable to before. Watch in the past fights. Max has caught him with head kicks. Islam caught him with a head kick. You know, he falls into the head kicks. So beware. Keep your eyes open. Make sure you're paying attention. Because Yair chucks them kicks up. And they come quick. Now, those kicks are going to be flying. They're going to be coming quick. So you already know Yair's keys to victory. Stay slick standing up. Don't telegraph any strikes. When anything comes to the ground, be nasty. Be violent, right? Don't give Volk any room to breathe. You know, if Volk's on top, throw them strikes back. He's got to be nasty off his back. He's got to be dirty off his back. Not dirty in the sense of cheating, but he's got to be gritty. You know, he's got to be gritty off his back. He's got to be different. He's got to be kind of unique. For Volk, like I said, movement. That movement, that IQ. And guess what? Volk hits, it's not this one-shot KO power, but it's power that steps you back and it says, fuck, I don't want to engage anymore. Because every time I engage, he's cracking me with this shot. He continues to crack me with this shot every single time I engage. Because Volk has that type of power that's just like, I'm going to step back. And the man's very, very tough to take down. Especially for the featherweights. It's gonna be an exciting fight. Like I said, that could be fight of the night too. I feel like I could have more of a breakdown on that. Right, we saw Volk in his last fight. Volk's striking was very, very open in that last fight. But when you're fighting a guy like Islam Makhachev, who is well known for his sambo and his wrestling skill, getting you down to the ground, holding you down, getting the submission victory, you're looking for that throughout the fight. You know it's coming and you want to show the world that you can defend against it, that you have what it takes, that you got the IQ and that you got the skill sets to prevent that man from doing what they normally do. And that's what Volk was doing. But I think his striking is going to come back and be a little bit more crisp in this fight because he knows he has to. He knows he has to be careful. He knows he's going up against one of the most dangerous strikers in the division, if not the most dangerous striker in the division. And if it's not, maybe Ilia Topuria is going to be one of the most damaging strikers. But Yair throws up sneaky stuff, right? And you watch Yair against Josh Emmett. Body kicks. Body kicks, body kicks, body kicks. If he snaps those off at Volk, if he can get those going and slow Volk's pace down a little bit with those, oh shit. I don't know if that was lightning mixed with thunder or a firework, but like I saw it in my window down there and that's like going down. That was creepy. That was weird. Real weird. But overall, I think this fight, if Yair can do some stuff that other people don't do to Volk, then, you know, it's going to work. Body kicks will work. Work them leg kicks in there. He's got to slow down Volk from being able to move the way that he moves, and Volk has to freeze and make Yair reset every time to where Yair can't snap off the stuff that he snaps off. This is why you watch fights like this and I say we get exciting matchups because this is exactly what I talk about when I say exciting matchups. You got two stylistic guys who are at the top of their game. It makes so much sense and I'm excited for this one. I know a lot of people aren't really rocking with Yair like that. He's a plus 300 underdog and rightfully so. I get it. Going against Volkanovski is wild to do, and I'm not going against Volkanovski. I think Volk is going to win this fight, but if there is somebody who can get it done, I think it's Yair Rodriguez. Because I think Yair is slick, man. I really do. He impressed me with that Josh Emmett fight, and if he throws a few things that Volk didn't see, he can get it done. But I gotta end this episode because I feel like the video is done already. It might have already finished, but if it didn't, this is me saying goodbye. So you know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification button, and I'll see you on the next episode. Peace and have a happy 4th of July.